Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Bangin Beers podcast. So today we're sitting down with the creators and owners of First Sip Brew Box. It's a monthly subscription box, and this episode's going to be a double collab episode. So he's recording it on his end for his channel, and I'm also recording it on my end for our channel. So when you hear the intro, it may be a little different what you're used to, but this is why I'm recording it now. So sit back, relax, and here's our interview with First Sip Brew Box. See you then.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Daily Sip. This is going to be a fun one, like it is every single time. I know you guys are out there enjoying it. This one, we are joined by Tony, a.k.a. Anthony, a.k.a. Bangin Beers podcast. He does a lot of really cool stuff. I'm not going to steal his thunder. Anthony, tell the people what's up.
What is going on, everybody? This is, let me turn my... That's a hair. Yeah, give a little bump there. All right, so this is Anthony with the IWEP network. I'm a podcast networking guy. I do a bunch of different shows, but we're here to talk about Bangin Beers podcast. It's me and a bunch of my buddies. We sit down, and we're from Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. So we're northeast Pennsylvania. If I told you the town, you probably wouldn't know it. But if you're beer drinkers, we are literally a 5-minute drive away from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, which is home of the king of the craft beers, Yuengling Beers. So that's
the OG.
Yeah, so that's a little idea where we're like, I'm like a stone throw away from there. So we're from Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. We do beer reviews, and we kind of bring a different light to the beer world, because I know like a lot of people live in bigger cities and stuff. So we really don't have breweries in our backyard. We have like maybe one or two, but you know, you live in a Pittsburgh or a Harrisburg or a Philadelphia, and you can literally, there's like 100 different breweries in your backyard. So we really rely on distribution and then travel. And craft beer is big in our area, but not super big. So we're trying to bring it more to the limelight in our area and help expose the amazing Pennsylvania breweries we have in our own backyard.
Heck yeah. Not everyone could be, super spoiled with 50, 60 breweries.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you definitely have some gems out there.
Yeah. We have some really good stuff out here. We have really cool stuff that goes on, like Brewfest. We have really good Brewfest in our area. But so it's definitely growing, not because of us, because, the brewery's hard work, but we try to just help push it along and help get some exposure and do some beer reviews and sit down and have cool conversations.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's definitely what it's all. And I think that's what craft beer is kind of all about, right? Getting people together to have those conversations over a brew. That's kind of how we fell in love with the whole industry. We went to one of our first breweries. Believe it or not, it was actually in North Carolina, in the Smoky Mountains. And in Bryson City, we went in. It was one of those little mountain towns where everything closed at 9 p.m. The only thing that was open was the brewery.
Yep.
And, folks getting off of work in there, having beers together. There was a dog running around, kids playing board games. I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yep.
So just like yourself, just falling in love with that.
Yeah, our format to our show is very similar to what we're doing here. Very unscripted, just natural conversation. The best way I can describe what we do is we are a beer club that you can listen in on. You're a fly in the wall in a beer club is the best way to. Yeah, so we each bring a couple of beers, and then we review the beers. We use Untapped very heavily, so our podcast is very heavily run Untapped, and then we just we drink and then talk about beers.
That is awesome. So how many of you guys are there?
It fluctuates because sometimes people can make it, sometimes people can't make it.
Right.
It's always about 3 or 4 of us. It was started by me and my buddy Ben, and then we slowly added some people in. We used to do guest spots a lot, so we'd have people come on and like local bands or local people in the area, or maybe people who are brand new. I mean, we still do have guest spots, but it was something we did every week. And then it got to the point where, like, someone comes to the show and they're not big craft beer drinkers, and then we hit them
Right.
at like 4 or 5, 9% beers, and then they're on my couch for the next 4 or 5 hours.
yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I need to get a stable of people who are craft beer drinkers. So I don't have people hanging out here for the next 12 hours after a show, you know?
Right. So you're running a podcast and, like a hostel.
Yeah, like an Airbnb. Yeah, it was.
That is awesome. So what do you have in your glass? I'm going to start pouring.
So I'm
pouring
drinking
mine.
one of 2 beers right now. So this is the Social Distancing by Abomination.
Ooh.
So I have 2 versions of this. I had 3, but the one can went really, really quick. So this is the Pillaroo Brewing Company and Tattered Flag collaboration with Abomination. So
Oh, man.
Tattered Flag is a veteran-owned brewery out of Middleton, Pennsylvania. They make amazing beer, and the Pillaroo Brewing Company is a nano brewery out of Pennsylvania. They are opening their own business very, very soon. Opening their own in downtown Pottsville. That should be coming very, very soon. But the guys behind that project also do the Schuylkill County Brew Fest, which is a absolute blast. It started in a little tiny field in Frackville, and now it takes up 3 or 4 city blocks in downtown Pottsville once a year. Yeah, and they do it twice a year. They do one in the summertime, and they do one right around Thanksgiving called Brewsgiving. And the coolest part about them is they do a brew fest, but it's also like wrestling themed, which I'm all about. I'm a big wrestling fan. So they have a title belt. It's a wrestling title belt. And all these different breweries bring a special beer for that day. And then everyone who comes gets a chip, and they put it in their favorite beer of the day, and then the brewery leaves with a title belt.
Wow.
Yeah, so actually,
that is insane.
Tattered Flag won last year, so they did a collaboration with them for this beer, and then they do a Brewsgiving one, and that one is really cool because it's a tag team belt. So they get breweries to team up and do collaborations together, and they do the same style where they come in, they bring their thing that's best voted, and then those 2 breweries are the tag team champs of the year.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That would be killer to go to. What time of year is that normally held?
It was supposed to be a couple weeks ago, but of course with the COVID, so they are looking to possibly do August this year.
Man, that would be pretty cool if we can make it out there for that. That
100.
sounds like a great time.
Listen, there's tons of Airbnbs out here. There's a hotel right up the street. You should definitely come out.
Absolutely. And we know Pat and the gang down at Tattered Flag. We did a veterans beer collaboration that breweries in PA get put together.
Yeah.
We were a part of that. We after the brew day, we actually went down to Tattered Flag and hung out, and those guys, they have such good beer and everything going on.
How about the food there?
Yeah.
Oh.
So what I'm sneaking into right here, oh man, this is big. So I actually did a growler fill right before recording, actually. I went down to good old Lincoln Avenue Brewery located in Bellevue, Pennsylvania. They're right down the road from us. Grant, great guy. He actually helped change some of the legislation in Bellevue, in that town itself.
Wow.
Because historically, it was a dry town till he created his brewery around 2018. He was actually one of the guys that went door to door, knocking on everyone's door, getting them to sign petitions and help put forward legislation so they can get some type of libations in that town. So he definitely paved the way for craft beer in Bellevue, and he's a great guy. He posted today that they were doing meatball subs down there, and my wife and I, we're suckers for a couple really good meatball subs, and he makes some of the best ones, like the seasoned meat, fresh bread, fresh cheese. So literally had to go down, grab a bunch of that, and I was like, hey man, what you got on tap? They let me know he had a Vienna lager, and that's what I went ahead and
you're talking lagers. I'm a lager guy. If I could find a lager or pilsner, man, I'm all about it. That's my go-to. I mean, I do like my IPAs and stuff, but I always tend to, if I see a lager on tap. I mean, I'm from Pottsville. I'm from the Pottsville area, so
yep.
we're
you don't
born.
Have a choice.
We're born
it's in
on
your
lager.
blood.
Yeah, we're born on lagers. What kind of glassware you got? We're big glassware guys too.
Oh yeah. Well, the glassware that I have is actually one of our own little branded guys. We actually have our own First Sip Brew Box glasses.
I like that.
And standard pint glass. I thought would work perfectly for this brew. My wife needs to take a picture of it, so I have to put that beer on layaway.
So this is from True Class Glass. This is the Macho Man Randy Savage glass.
Look at that sexiness.
Like I said, I'm a big wrestling nerd. I am. I had to look down to make sure. I have a T-shirt problem, right? My wife, she loves it. It's her favorite thing about me is I own about 450 T-shirts. I'm being very sarcastic. She does not love it at all. But I'm wearing a Kenny Omega shirt right now.
Nice. I actually thought maybe she did like it. Cause,
no, she hates it.
Wives love wearing our shirts, so I didn't know if that was...
She likes wearing them, but she hates the fact that there's over 450 and I took up 2 closets. Yeah. Yeah.
Just taking up all the room with them.
Yep.
That's pretty dope. Well, it looks like I'm allowed to have my beer now. So let me look at that. Solid head retention on that brew. Nice, good color. Nice and clear. Look at that. Wow. You can tell I really cleaned out this glass too. The Dirty Glass Mafia is not going to come and get me. Ooh.
I love the logo to your business too. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I think Pittsburgh, man. I think of the bridges, so I think it's really cool that you incorporated that.
It was wow, that is good. There is like a spicy, not spicy like heat, just spicy as in, I guess, not one-dimensional. There's a lot of complexities going on here. With a slightly dry finish, you could tell there's still a hop profile here. Wow, this is good. Jesus, Grant, good job.
I think you're gonna make me drive to Lincoln Avenue soon.
Oh, heck yeah! Well, I can't wait for them to start canning. Then we can send you some care packages and everything out your way.
Yes, yes.
I wouldn't trust sending a growler out there.
And growlers, I mean, I understand why they have to do growlers. So everyone has to grow and have to do things, but canning is so important, especially to where we're from, because for the biggest thing is we really rely on cans because we live so far away from everything. So distribution and canning and bottling really helps us in our location of Pennsylvania, because we have to either travel or we have to rely on getting beer into beer places in our area. So that's the thing we're trying to do too, is like we can get in contact with a brewery and be like, hey, we're only like an hour away and we have so many people who like your beers. If you can supply a bar, because we have a lot of bars in our area that
at least send a keg down or something.
Yeah, a keg or a case of cans, and then this way people can purchase them. When usually 9 times out of 10, if like a beer thing in our area, a beer distributor gets a case of cans or a case of anything, it's gone very, very quickly. People snatch it up because it's in higher demand in our area.
Right. And that's crazy, just thinking about, the difference in the culture, difference in the demographics. Like here, those lines and people waiting to scoop up all the cans, that's traditionally all at breweries.
Yep.
Very rarely do you hear about, does it happen? Absolutely. Beer distributors do, sell out of some unique stuff that they get in, but you never really hear about it. So it's kind of cool to see it on the other end.
Yeah.
And breweries need to adapt to that, right? So do you see a lot of that where the breweries tend to, now I see that we have to start canning, or is that something that they kind of learn and then maybe a year down the road you see them start canning?
A lot of the stuff in our area is very heavily canned or bottled, but the thing is, I don't think they realize how much of our area, School County, is like deprived of it, So I think that's a good thing that we bring to the table, is bringing it like to the light that like it's not regularly available. They look at their own kind of radius and they say, well, we're doing really well here, but there's a whole nother side of the Pennsylvania who love your beers that want more of it.
Absolutely. And growlers are great, but are you really going to, what are they, 32, 64 ounces? Are you really going to drink all that maybe you will.
Yeah. Well, I like getting a can or a bottle sometimes, let it sit a couple days, especially if it's a different style, like a stout or a sour or something. You let it sit a couple days, or sometimes you even get an IPA and it's super fresh and it has that hop heat and it's still kind of, so you let it sit a day or two and it kind of mellows out. You really get that flavor profile. So I think canning is cool in that aspect too.
Absolutely, and it gives you the ability to, get multiple things from that brewery. There's no matter if it's your favorite brewery in the world, you're not leaving with 4 or 5 growlers. I mean, number one, I don't even think that's legal.
Yeah,
just the amount of volume that
you're like a bootlegger. You're filling your car up with jars.
It's COVID. You gotta prepare.
So how did you guys start First Sip Box, and how did this all come about?
Yeah, so good question. So it kind of right when I told you about that story, when we went down to North Carolina, it was on the way back that my wife and I were like, okay, we really enjoyed everything about the industry. So how about we start our own brewery? Like, we did all the work. We went to a brewery. Like, that's all it takes.
Yeah, that's all you need.
And we were just, joking around on the way back. Okay, if we had a brewery, what would we call it? We were like, First Sip, because you like something from the first sip. So we were like, cool, organic, we love it. Let's go with that. All right, next step 2, now open a brewery. And then, we did tons of market research. This was back in 2014. And even back in 2014, breweries were starting to pop up all over, around Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania. I mean, they were just growing like weeds. And, obviously that was throughout the whole U.S., specifically to us. We're like, okay, so there's going to be a lot of competition out there. And then we learned that it's going to cost, $500,000, unless you're getting, now, most of the time, even if you are getting used equipment, depending upon, what property and everything that you're getting, what work it needs, nothing's set up to be a brewery unless you're buying a brewery,
Yeah.
So we decided it was important to us to own our own company, not go out and get investors, VC capitalists, all that type of stuff. So then we decided to pivot. We're like, oh, we can just send beer in the mail. It's now legal in Pennsylvania. And we reached out to the Liquor Control Board, legal counsel, all that stuff for the state of Pennsylvania. And we asked them, hey, this is what we want to do. They were like, that's cool. You're one of the first people looking to really push this with your own thing here in the state. So just to be safe, how about you buy a beer distributor or a restaurant and then buy all the licensing and permits and then attached to it. And then at that point, you'll be able to do it. I'm like, okay, we're right back at $500,000.
Yeah.
So we
hopefully
realized
that stuff changes soon.
Yeah, we realized if we wanted to penetrate this industry, it's either we have to have powerful, connections or a lot of, liquidity or capital. And we didn't have either. We're just a husband and wife, Army veteran, social worker. Like, we don't have that type of stuff. We're all about the heart and hustle. So what we ended up doing, we're like, if we're going to penetrate this industry, we have to do our own thing. And that's what we did. Instead of sending beer out in the mail, we send out the story of the brewery, the merchandise, the glassware, the koozies, coasters, stickers. And instead of competing with breweries, by opening up our own, we now partner with all the breweries out there. Then we do one thing that no one else in the country does. We connect the brewery, the small businesses that make things out of beer, whether it's beer soaps, beer beard balms. It could literally be beer shampoo, beer pretzels. I actually have some. It's like I'm prepared.
Nice.
It can literally be anything, and we put it all together, and that now allows us to ship out to any country since we're not shipping out alcohol. So we've had customers in 5 different countries, 200 cities, 48 states. We haven't gotten to North and South Dakota yet. I don't even know if they have internet out there. I don't know what's going on.
So you have Pennsylvania. Is it you pretty much focus on Pennsylvania breweries or breweries all over the state?
Breweries over the country.
Oh, the country. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. That's really, really cool.
Absolutely. We've worked with, Stone Brewing, New Belgium, Avery, Odd Otter out in Washington, the whole way to Geary Brewing up in the New England area, Strange Ways down in Virginia, and then obviously a lot of Pennsylvania-specific breweries. We're very relationship-based, and we much rather, if we can, work with people that we can go in, shake their hand, hang out with them. That's kind of how we do business. But we do work with any brewery in the country.
That's
I don't want to say
fantastic.
any. Obviously, we have certain stipulations of who would work with, but the smaller the better, to be honest, because our big thing is the best friend of a small business is another small business.
Yeah. So if someone from our end were to get your box, I know you guys have 3 different tiers.
Yes.
What does each tier entail, and what are something you can expect every month? Is it monthly or bi-monthly?
It's monthly.
Monthly.
Yep.
So,
and then if it's an emergency, last minute shopping, we can ship, within 48 hours as well if needed.
cool. So what are some things you can expect in your box, and what are the 3 different tiers?
Yeah. So our initial tier is our Brewmaster. That's going to be all the unique things from the brewery: t-shirt, pint glass, stickers, koozies, coasters, whatever, the brewery has. And we typically have shifted a little bit from including like a brewery specific shirt, because a lot of small breweries, they can't afford to send out 100, 200 shirts to us to have us send out.
Yeah.
So we've been focusing more on doing a collaboration design, and we get them printed here locally to us.
Cool.
So that tends
it's like an exclusive shirt.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
tends
the way to do it.
help us out a little bit. So for an example, this literally just got dropped off last night, so you guys are the first one seeing it in the flesh. So this is one of them.
That's awesome.
We did these guys to help give back to the folks on the front line for COVID. 10% of all shirts and boxes go back to sending care packages out to these guys.
I love it.
So that would be things that you would expect in the Brewmaster. And then when it goes up to the enthusiast level, that is those type of apparel items mixed with different lifestyle items, whether it's beer soap, beer balm, beer pretzels, beer shampoo, beer coffee, like literally all that good fun stuff. And then when you go up to the connoisseur level, that's every month we tend to get some exclusive gear that we would have in very low quantities. So that type of stuff, limited edition bottle openers from breweries, really nice etching, bomber jackets, things like that would be in the connoisseur level.
Nice.
And the prices range $25, $49, $59.
Yeah, I mean that's a great thing, and like I said, if you want to step up your beer shirt game, and you want to step up your koozies, and not only that, but maybe find out about new breweries. This is a great way to do it. A great way to do it.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, I learned something. I thought this was just strictly. I thought you guys just did Pennsylvania style stuff, but I think it's cool that you're all over the place, man.
Everybody.
What was a big get for you?
Products. What's that?
What was a big get for you? Like a brewery that we'll work with you, and you're like, oh my god, like kind of like meeting your hero moment, or working with somebody you didn't think you'd work with.
Oh man, that is a good question.
Have you, real quick, while you're thinking that, have you ever worked with Yuengling yet? Has Yuengling been in your box?
So no, and funny enough, I did reach out and I did this whole, like I play chess when other folks may be playing checkers.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I'm all about the long game. So when Yuengling did, and it's so funny because just listening to your the podcast that you just did, Brews and PA, talking about the Hershey collab they did.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Yuengling around that time, and I wanted to get some of that collab swag in our box and like just showcase that.
They didn't do much of it.
No, they definitely didn't. But so I called them out publicly on our Twitter and our social media, and because I emailed them their response. So I was like, all right guys, let's see if we can get a hold of Yuengling. Day one, reaching out to them, tagging them. Day two, and then it's funny because more and more people on our platform were just retweeting it, just saying, hey Yuengling, why won't you answer First Sip Brew Box? And then it was day 10, they responded, and they were like, hey, day 9 they liked the tweet. We're like, all right guys, we're getting somewhere.
We're getting somewhere.
And then day 10 they responded with me to send them my email. Then day 12 they emailed me, we talked about some stuff, and they basically said, well Dennis, what you do sounds really cool. Once when you become a bigger company, then reach out to us and work with us. And then I took that as, I was like, you guys are you're craft beer. You're the big brother of craft beer industry. You got to lead from the front. Like you shouldn't want to just work with big companies, right? So, but that was all part of my long-term strategy. So now what we're pursuing, we're going to be doing our own collaboration with a local chocolatier, and then showing them like, hey, you guys could have worked with us, you know what? But this company isn't too big to focus on local. Yeah. So it's all coming together.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to do that around the holidays.
It's crazy too, because if you're like a local band in the area or like a business, man, they are so quick to just be like, here's a box of Yuengling swag, just give it away at your bar tonight. They do it all the time. So I thought, like, what you're doing, I feel like they would be like, oh, here's a box of stickers, no big deal. We do this all the time, and it's kind of shocked to hear that they didn't really work. Listen, and this is why I would love to sit down and talk to them. But like I said, I'm in their backyard, and they don't even know I exist. So don't feel bad. But yeah, and I'm a huge supporter of their. It's kind of crazy because that kind of attitude does kind of turn them off to people as well. Like, so for how big they are in our area, we do have a big population of them in their own backyard. That they're not supported by their own community as well, which is kind of sad in a way. But I know out in Pittsburgh, man. When I went to Pittsburgh, I went to go see a concert. Dude, there was Yingling everywhere. Yep. Like, it's huge in Pittsburgh.
It is.
Yeah. So, and it's like how we were saying too. It's like a blue collar town. So like it fits right in. But yeah, it's shocking to me that they wouldn't send you a crate of stuff they have just sitting around. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Honestly, I'm not mad at Yingling. From a macro point of view. It's just the
you're
one
not mad,
person
you're
who
just
was there to
disappointed.
vet people.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said you're not mad, you're just disappointed.
Yeah, well, it was like just one of those. I know it was just the one person in marketing that goes off of vanity metrics, not what someone can actually do, to help their brand. And I get that.
Yeah.
And I already had a backup plan in place because honestly, I expected them to say no.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man. And I try to explain this. Like, you can reach out to a company that has 3 million subscribers, and they can go on their social media and say, hey, go check this out. And 9 times out of 10, even though they have 3 million people on their thing, most of those people don't care. They're not gonna support. Or if you only want to work with people that have money or bigger businesses, that doesn't tend to translate as well. But if you go to a Facebook page that maybe has 800 people, 500 people, there are 500 people that are absolutely loyal to that brand.
Right. 100%.
And that 500 people is the biggest word of mouth you're ever going to get. You're better off going to something like that sometimes if they only have 300 to 400 people, because the 304 people are legit. Because people can buy likes, people can buy, they can make their page look bigger than it actually is. So there's
a whole business in that.
Yeah, which is just, it's so straight. I always joke around like I need to go buy some likes, but yeah, yeah.
Now just patience, man. Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're focusing on, is just patience, building a brand. Obviously there's some months that are tougher than others, financially, but now we actually have a team of people. We have, my wife and I, and then now we also have 4 interns. I'm proud to say that 75% of them are all in a paid internship.
Nice.
Especially right now during COVID. I know that's helping them out a lot. So super pumped about that. And yeah, that's just the way things are sometimes.
Nice. I love the idea. I'm a subscription box guy. We do tons of subscription boxes. I can't even talk. It's gonna be.
You love them so much.
Yeah,
you're just filled with passion.
Yeah, we have 2 different wrestling ones. We do 2 different like Loot Crate ones. One of my other buddies, so a bunch of people on the team go out and get different subscription boxes, and then we open them on the show. So First Sip is coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. You'll see it You'll see it here soon. And hopefully we can get some Bangin beer swag in those boxes so people can check it out too.
Hey man, we've worked with some podcast companies out on the West Coast, and they've actually created just little cards and stuff that include in the brew boxes that we put in there. So folks, when they open it, they're like, oh, I was actually looking for a new beer podcast. Because believe it or not, there's actually not a ton out there on YouTube and Anchor. There's a bit out there, but in comparison to other podcasts, it's still a niche category.
Yeah,
I think there's definitely a lot more room for more content.
Yeah,
sure.
and I would say too. I don't want to say like the term, but I guess the term is out there. But we're not like a beer snob podcast. We don't pretend to know anything about beer. We're not guys who homebrew. We're not guys who make beer. I still don't know the process of what it goes into, what makes one style different than the other. We just buy beer, we support business, we drink, and give you an honest opinion straight out the gate. We do gimmicky stuff sometimes too. We'll do like a whole, we did a White Claw versus Bud Light Seltzer episode. So we do gimmicky stuff here and there.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, but the thing is we're getting to the point now where we were getting a lot of them, but once the COVID happened and kind of slowed us down. But we were getting breweries that were hitting us up like, yo, come to our brewery. We'll sit and have a flight. You can talk to the guy who made the beer and the guy who owns the business, and we can have a dialogue and drink beers together. So we were getting stuff like that too, which is really, really, really fun. Yeah. And hopefully we continue to do more. And then we're trying to do, like tonight's episode that we're recording in about an hour, that actually will come out Sunday. We have a guy who works for a local business called the Beer Shack, and what they are is they're a local beer distributor. You can go buy domestics or craft. So he brought about 6 or 8 to 9, anywhere between 6 to 9, I forget what it was, beers from his that they sell at their place. And they're all Pennsylvania beers. So what we're going to do is we're going to drink these Pennsylvania beers, review them, and then tell people, if you want these beers and you live in our area, you can go buy them at this place. So we're trying to, one hand feeds the other. So that's kind of our style, and I think it's a little different from every other beer. Like, I think a lot of the beer podcasts, and I'm not knocking, I think that's great what you do, but like a lot of them are like, oh, this beer is made with this and it has this character. Like, we're like, yo, they're like, this beer is great. I get this, this, and this. And we're all kind of just like beer idiots that just review beer and just give you a honest to God idea what we think of it, you know?
Right. You're not going to, say some terminology that the average beer enthusiast, they're going to be like, I don't even know what that means.
Exactly.
So you guys are giving like a real, this is what it tastes like. This tastes like funky feet.
Yeah.
If you like funky feet, get this saison.
Exactly. So the whole idea of our whole podcast network is, we're based off the main channel, which is interviews with everyday people. So every one of our podcasts come from the point of view of an everyday Joe. We're every working class people who punch a time clock every day, and they're passionate about a topic, and we talk about it. So we're not trying to come at it from a professional level. We're not professional journalisms. We're not professional right. We are just everyday people giving you a take on what we think about this topic.
Absolutely. And, I'm sure there's a huge niche for that, and a lot of people definitely appreciate that. So just, we're both just going to keep hustling, keep grinding. But I was actually thinking about the question you asked me earlier. What was our aha moment? I would say there was a couple. Now, we're still waiting for these to come through, but it really, just blew our mind. So one company that we are looking at working with, that we got their VPs on board, we just got to get the upper echelon on board, is actually Brewdog, which is super exciting. They since we post on 7 different platforms, 300 to 400 unique pieces of content every month, I'm connected with James, one of the founders of Brewdog, on LinkedIn. I'm always commenting on his stuff, and it's just funny. So coincidentally, the next day after I left a really thoughtful comment on what he had posted, one of their VPs reached out to me. They're like, all right, tell me more about this. Like, how do we become a part of this? So we're kind of waiting for that to come through. Previously, though this one did happen, the big aha moment, which made me feel, I was like, oh, we're just not this little podunk company anymore, is when we reached out to Kennywood, our amusement park out here, to actually do a collaboration beer with us and another in a brewery, because we were attending their beer fest year after year, being a part of it with our business, and I didn't see enough local brewery involvement. So I was like, why don't we make a beer with a local brewery? Thinking they will say, oh, Dennis, silly little First Sip Brew Box. Yeah. Send us an RFP or maybe next year. But they actually said, yes, can you please help us with that? I was like, what?
Yeah, that's definitely on our bucket list. That's not something we're pursuing, but if it ever came about, I would be super. It would be a blast, like especially a bunch of guys who don't know how to make beer, just to kind of help be a part of that process and do a collaboration, and seeing a beer made would be awesome. Like a Bangin beers beer. I don't know.
Yeah, but, Bangin. Oh Jesus, yeah. Bangin beers brown ale.
Yeah. But yeah. So if people are listening, why Brewdog is super cool is they're actually a brewery out of Scotland, and they ship worldwide, and they make good beer. If you haven't had, it's delicious. Like Elvis Juice is probably one of their popular ones. Yeah. But yeah, they're really
and they actually
cool.
have a hotel in Ohio too, a beer hotel, where they have a beer fridge built into the wall of the shower. They have taps in the room. Yeah, it's insane.
I gotta be there. That's not too far away. That's gotta be a vacation. Actually, we're trying to find something to do soon, so maybe that we can the Brewdog. I know what what's the other one? Dogfish Head has a hotel, don't they too?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do in Delaware. Yeah, Delaware.
I don't know if
Good
you
old
ever
Dogfish
have
Head.
you ever had a bad night at like a 120 in your life? Whoo, baby.
I don't. I enjoy them, but I know to only have one. And it's important when you have that one.
Yeah.
You need to have that one at the beginning. That
Here-
is not an icing on the cake. But what I have had is a local brewery to us, Abjuration Brewing in McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. They did a 14% oak age Belgian.
Woo.
And I need to quit you. This is one of those things where I never learned my lesson. I keep using that beer as a cherry on top, and that is the whole cake. That is not a cherry on top beer.
Yeah, we the guys on our show, a lot of them, if the beer's not over 8, they don't give it good scores, which is kind of, I mean, it is. I can't be responsible for everyone's opinion. So
Right.
you know what I mean. So like, not one person's opinion on the show reflects the entire shows. Like I
Right.
sometimes like crushable domestic. I still like my domestics. I call them my dirt beers, but I still like them. So sometimes
You're a dirty girl.
yeah. So sometimes if a brewery can make that replica, I think that's smart because it can transition people from domestics to craft. Because if you hand someone a super hoppy IPA and it's their first time, they're
Right.
gonna hate it. They're gonna hate it. But I have 2 funny beer stories for you here. So
Yeah, let's hear it.
the first one's Dogfish Head. We go to Vegas. Me and my wife go to Vegas for our anniversary. I'm sitting in the MGM Grand and I'm like, I'm just frustrated because I want a craft beer. All they have is domestics, and I'm paying $9 a bottle. I'm really bummed. And I don't know if it's because I have a problem. I don't know if it's because I drink so many craft beers. But like domestics, it takes a lot to get me to the dance floor, you know.
Right.
So I'm sitting there and I look in the cooler and I see Dogfish Head, and I just see the logo, and I go, just for shits and giggles. So I don't know if I can curse here, but just for shits and giggles. How much is the Dogfish Head? And they look at it, they go, oh, that's $3 or $4 a bottle. And I went, but a Bud Light's $8. And they're like, we can't sell it. No one buys it. And because once again, you're in Vegas. Not many people in Vegas know a Delaware brewery. And I'm like, I said, I'm looking at the color and I'm like, is that the 120? I said, can I see it? And they turn it, and sure enough, there was like 4 or 5 bottles. No, there was maybe a shelf of 120 there. And I'm like, and they're how much? And she's like, they're like $4 or $5. I forget exactly. It was around that price range. I'm like, I'll take 2. Right? So I'm sitting there with 2 of them drinking them, and the guy next to me is like, what are you drinking? And I was like, this one's on me, and you can get the next one. And he goes, what? I said, this beer is like 4 of what you're drinking now, and it's way cheaper. I said, yo, we're going to be hugging each other in 15, 20 minutes. And I just sat with some random stranger, and he was telling me all his Vegas gangster stories, and we drank Dogfish Head for like 3 or 4 hours, and we were the guy looked at me and goes, I am hammered. And I was like, welcome to northeast side of the mountain beers, man.
Oh yeah, man. That's just a good business move, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, 4 versus 8 when that 4 is equal to, 3 or 4 of the other. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's just efficiency.
We have a place near us called Pizza Boy. So 9 times out of 10 when you go to a brewery and you buy a can, the big cans, see, to me, these are normal size cans now. When I see the other one, I call them baby cans. Like, you realize that the regular size can, you psychopath. I'm like, I'm so used to the pounders. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you walk into normal places, you buy 4-packs, and usually a 4-pack is roughly between $15 to $20.
Right.
Pizza Boy charges around $15 or $20, but you always leave with a 6-pack. So it's like you're getting 2 free beers.
Right.
I love that place. That place is
Yeah,
fantastic.
Pizza Boy's awesome. I've never been to the brewery itself, but we've had tons of their beers, tons of them, and they are all delicious. I've personally never had a bad beer from them.
Have you tried the Penis Mighty? Or the Pen is Mighty?
Oh no, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I was like, I see what you did there.
Yep, it was made with gummy dicks. It was delicious.
God, it was so tasty.
Yeah, it was awesome. Those gummy dicks. And then my other one is my first time ever experiencing craft beer. Like some people, sometimes people have their first craft beer, they hate it. I know I did. My first craft beer I was not a fan of. Well, I just happened to not be a fan of it in front of a very person I shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have done what I did. So we go to a hockey game. It's me, my dad, my brother, and his friend. My brother, me and my brother are 11 years apart, so he wasn't old enough to go. We thought wasn't old enough to go to this VIP box. So my dad gets a phone call. He's like Mr. Firefighter of Pennsylvania, like a lot of people know him. So he goes, Tony, I see you down in the thing. Come up to our suite. And he's like, you want to go get some beers up in the suite? And I'm like, do I? Let's go. So we go up. I'm like fresh 21, so like I'm all about it. So we go up, and they're like, help yourself, go to the fridge. And I open it, and I see all Yingling, and I'm like, Yingling and another beer. I seen like blueberry, and I'm like, I'm fresh 21. I'm a man. Like, if someone offers me a shot, I'm only doing Jack. Like, I'm a cowboy right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a cool drinker. I'm not drinking blueberries. So I get my Yingling, and I walk over to my dad, and he's talking to a guy in the VIP box right next to him. A guy with white hair, just looks important. And and I don't see people like that. I treat everyone the same, right? So I walk up, and the guy goes, "What are you drinking there, son?" And I was like, "Oh, this is Hometown Brewery right here. I'm drinking a lager." And he goes, well, "You should try what your dad's having." And my dad has this beer, and it's the blueberry one. And I'm like, all right. So I take a sip of it. Now, we're at a Hershey Bears game, so that might be a little spoiler of what beer I'm about to take a dump on. So I drink it, and I'm like, oh. And he goes, "You don't like it?" I said, "This is disgusting." And he's like, "Oh, well, that's my beer." And I went, "What?" I said,
"Oh, no."
And I was like, "Oh, your beer needs work." And I walked away. My dad was mortified. God. He was like, I can't take you anywhere. That beer was a Trogs, and I guess he was like the VIP or one of the head dudes at the time. This is probably 10 years ago.
Right.
I'm not fresh 21, obviously, anymore. But yeah, but luckily I've then changed my tune, and Trogs is one of my favorite breweries on the planet. Man. I'm a huge fan of Trogs.
You should try to get a hold of them, write them a letter, send them a Christmas card or something.
I bought enough beers of them. I think I've made up for it. Yeah. But yeah, that was my first craft beer experience, and I happened to just tell one of the main dudes at Trogs that his beer needs work. Damn. I've never had a blueberry beer from Trogs since then, so maybe I've done something. I don't know.
Maybe
subconsciously.
But to be fair, if you're used to lagers, and then you try to take a dip into
I think it was a
blueberry ale.
I think it was a wheat beer, if I'm not mistaken. Like a yeah. And I was just like, oh, it was my first time. I wasn't an educated drinker.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you grown into liking wheat beers now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Still.
Oh my God. Have you ever had Rotunda's the wheat beers that they do? Like, it's like a sour wheat.
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, they're fantastic. It's like a series they do called Sweet Tarts, but instead of sweet, it's wheat. Oh, they're so good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, we have some awesome breweries in our area. You've already heard of Tattered Flag, but we have Evergreen. Evergreen right now, to me, has taken the king of. I just like their style IPAs. They're just so good. Yeah. That was the other social distancing we had. Was Abomination and Evergreen. I crushed it. I couldn't. It
did not stand a chance.
It did not stick around. These are my last two cans of these last social distancings. But Evergreen's fantastic. We got to do some stuff with Mellow Mink. Rotunda's really good. Trogs is fantastic. Trogs is like the Yingling, but they're more supportive of the community, we'll say. So right. Trogs is every single place that we've ever talked to or every brewery we've got to sit down and do an interview with, they've all said that Trogs is like an awesome big brother. Like they have the tools, right. They have the money, they have the technology, and they're like
knowledge,
and they're like, hey, do you want this stuff we have laying around for free? Do you want to use our lab? Do you need help with this? Do you need like they're so welcoming to craft breweries in their local area, and it just every time you hear stories like that, you're like, I'm gonna go buy a case of Trogs because
right.
they're good, because they're good people, you know.
Dude, even their reps are awesome. Yeah. Like our Trogs rep, Heather out in our neck of the woods around Pittsburgh. I think it just transcends. I think it's a culture at Trogs.
Yeah. It definitely sticks. They're just good. They're a good business and they're good people.
100% agree.
Yeah,
definitely agree. I did have a question for you.
Sure.
To deliver value to some of the folks out there listening that are looking to either start their own podcast or start their own.
Don't do it. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Stop now. Or any side hustle, because I know doing some pre-recording, we were talking a little bit about the heart and hustle and that kind of stuff. So can you give them some helping tips, some wisdom on if they want to start their next, side hustle or podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So where I am saying where we come from an everyday person, right? I do definitely want to translate that there is on my end and the people on my team, there's tons of work that goes into this, and we're very dedicated, and I push myself very, very hard. So we're not just, I don't want to say we come from an everyday point of view, but we have a very hard work ethic too. And so if this is something you seriously want to do, whatever you want to do, if you want to be a podcast, you want to be a photographer, you want to be a musician, there got to be work to it. If you at the end of the day, want to make something of it, you got to put the hard work in, you got to put the dedication in. So like I said, I do 4 or 5 different podcasts, and I'm usually recording almost every day. That entails missing time with friends. That's missing time with family. That's missing time with my wife. That's So you really got to, when you think about it, I know it sounds great, and it's I'm going to start this, and I'm going to get 1 million people to listen to my thing. That it doesn't. You need to go a year or two with 5-10 listeners, and you have to be thankful for those 10 people, because there are 10 people who are taking time out of your day, and it may not be glorious. You look at YouTube videos and you see this one has 1,000 or this one has 1 million. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without hard work. So going into anything, you need to realize that it's not American Idol. You don't just walk on TV and get noticed and get popular overnight. You need to suck for a while. It needs to be terrible. You got to learn how to fix your audio. You need you got to put your 10,000 hours in. So if you're going to dive into anything, be prepared for that work ethic.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's definitely right on point. And I love the part where you mentioned you're going to suck. You got to get through the suck, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'll never. I look back some of the first YouTube videos we posted. They were so bad. It was literally me at a brewery. Like, we had the owners and stuff sit down with us, but I thought I can get through 4 mini series in one night during the holidays, which ended up, I guess that's my funny story. I ended up drinking a lot more than what I should have. But I was like, well, we still have 2 more episodes we have to shoot, and I have to have 2 beers on each one. And then, And then just looking at the quality of it and everything now. But to your point, you have to get through those crappy ones so you can have, the good ones. And then I would like to think now they are definitely a lot better. But since you shared the second fun beer story. So my second one, apparently, even when we were starting, we had a format, we were doing a lot better quality production and everything, lighting, good audio, all that good fun stuff. We took the show on the road up to Butler, Pennsylvania, about an hour. Sammy, would you say hour and a half, Butler from us? About an hour away. And I thought it was a great idea to book 3 separate breweries in one day. Why would I do that?
What?
Why would I do that? Plus an extra interview at one of the breweries from a local maltster. So it was 4 episodes in one day. So we started recording at 11 a.m. Yeah. So we went to the first brewery, Recon Brewing. My man Nate, the owner there, he was a little nervous to get on camera. And I totally get it. To help him get unnervous, though, took about 4 pints of beer, and then he was good to go on. So then we go on, we record the episode having 2 more beers, and then after that we had a local maltster come in from CNC Malt, and him and I had a beer, and then we drove to another brewery and did a whole nother show there. We had another 3 beers. Plus, at that point, I was feeling really good and thought I could handle any hot wing challenge. Yeah, no, I lost that one. I ate the wing, though. The wing got eaten.
I would have thrown up.
Then my face fell off, and I was in the bathroom for like 10 minutes. And then after that, we finally make it to our last brew of the day. This is like a 10-hour process. And then we had another, 3 or 4 beers there. And at that point, you do math. That was just a lot. And safe to say, I couldn't use that last episode.
Yeah. So I did the same thing. So when I first started, I'm not an audio guy. I'm not a technical guy. So I went and had just this Yamaha board, 4 channels, and I went and bought all these cardio mics because they sounded awesome. You can put a mic on the table and it can pick everything up. Sounds horrible. Don't do that. Save your money. Dynamic mics, people. The background noise goes away. It's fantastic. So we're like, I'm like, you know what? I'm prepared. I can do I can go to a brew fest. I bought a tent, I bought banners, we set up at a brew fest and we recorded all day. And I went back and I was like, you know what? We're not going to use the camera. We're going to use a webcam. And then what happened was and I don't know how to do editing and I suck at it. So the audio sounded horrible because the cardio mic was sucking up the entire street of noise.
Oh, no.
It actually blew up 2 of our mics. Like it overloaded them.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Which was devastating because I was like, oh my God, I'm done. Like the show's over. I don't have money to buy a new mic.
That was everything I had.
Yeah, like it was like going to war and losing casualties. It really, really was. It was, and then seeing that it was our first chance to really do something cool with the show, and the whole content was pretty much unusable. I still put it up, but I told people like this is dog shit. But I'm gonna tell you right now that this is gonna be the changing point of this show. And then right as soon as we did that, we got booked to go. We did an episode at Trogs, but it wasn't with Trogs. Like I didn't get to sit down with people from Trogs, but they let us record in the place, and I still had the same mics. That episode never even came about because all the background noise from the equipment and the microphones and everything was it was unusable. So then I was like, you know what? And then I went and got all these microphones I'm using now, and I'm able to do so much more now. Like our show has jumped tremendously in quality since then. We used to do video and audio, kind of like the Joe Rogan experience, where like it kind of sat down the table and looked down at us. But like I said before, the laptop is really struggling. So if you definitely want to support us, for people listening, we do have merch pages and donation tabs and stuff. So you can definitely do that. So we can get a better laptop and go back to doing video. So if you do find us on YouTube, it is it's just like a little this is how bad my laptop is. So I took an audio file and I just put a logo on top of it just so I can still upload it to YouTube. It takes my computer like 4 hours to do a hour and 45-minute just putting an image on, like rendering a video. This laptop is just in rough shape. It's so old. But
dude, we got a Facebook Marketplace. We're gonna be searching for you.
Yeah. Well, if you go to our Facebook page, there is a shop now button. But we do everything like through Teespring. But we did just get a brand new logo too. So if you're a beer fan, there's a brewery called Nightmare Brewing Company. They make some heavy hitting beers. I learned a lot about the brewery without even talking to them. So Samuel Mills is the artist who does all the artwork on the can. He's done artwork for some seriously impressive metal bands. I'm not a huge metalhead guy, so a lot of these bands I don't know. So I'm just going to be honest. I'm being upfront. But he also has done art for Pabst Blue Ribbon. He's Nightmare's head artist. He also has done stuff for Zero Skateboards, Creature. He's done some insane artwork. Yeah, he's built up a really good. Just on Instagram alone, I think he has like 63,000 people that follow him. Like he's really good at what he does. We got to interview him. He was really nice. But we did a commissioned art with him where it's like it just says Bangin Beers Podcast in the heavy metal font, and it's a skull throwing up the rock and roll fingers, and it's just chugging a pint, and the pint's going all over. It looks awesome. It looks so cool. So that's our brand new show logo. So that's like our official brand new logo. So you can check that out. We're on all social media pages too with Bangin Beers. But our big aha moment for us is I got to just recently, the last episode that we were talking about was with Breweries of Pennsylvania. I'm just like, actually I had 2 of them recently where I reached out and never thought I'd get responses back, and they're both such good people. Breweries of Pennsylvania was was one. And then we just talked to the team who does, Nate from Port in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The documentary. Oh my God, it's such a good documentary. If you have Amazon Prime, go watch it. It is literally, you will watch that and be like, I need to go support more Pennsylvania breweries. Like it's such a well done docuseries, like documentary, and
phenomenal job.
Yeah, and it's actually become a docuseries. It's going to be
I saw that.
Yeah, season 1 starts in June. The first episode is going to be on YouTube for everybody, but then if you have Amazon Prime, there's going to be a docuseries, and it's literally going to be everything Pennsylvania beers, man. You should reach out and get your box on there.
Heck yeah, I had a few beers with him. Man, when was that? Maybe this past August? Not too long ago. He was actually in town, met up down at a Mike's Beer Bar, and actually had a couple brews. Man, yeah, but you are 100% right. We definitely need to do something with those guys. I keep meaning to reach out. Just so busy. You know how it is. Because
absolutely.
we're recording pretty much, every day, probably 4 or 5 days a week at least.
Yeah,
that.
One of the biggest things that I've gotten to take away, like we're coming up on our second year recording, but just recently been really talking to other people outside of our realm. So we were just for a while there, I was like, oh, we're just a podcast thing, and our work will speak for itself and people will find us. That's not true either. So that's another piece of advice. Reach out to people. True. Do not think you're better than anyone else. Collaborations are key. And you not only will the collaborations help you, but you'll get to meet really, really, really awesome, cool people. And one of the biggest things, I've talked to local musicians, I've talked to local businesses, I've talked to everything, and they're all really, really good. But the local beer scene is the craziest supportive group I've ever seen.
It's like
man.
This. It's so tight knit,
dude. Everyone's cool with everybody, man, and everyone is willing. Like, just to hear like. I don't have a lot of money. Like, I'm not a rich dude, but like if another podcast is like, hey, I need this, this, and this, I was like, yo, that's exactly what I own. Here's what I use. If you want to borrow it, you can borrow it. But like, and that's on a low level. Imagine like being a business guy and you have a pallet full of hops and you're like, you want these hops? Like, that's so much like that's crazy to me that they're just so and they're all willing to do it. Like they're just such cool people, man.
Yeah, I know a couple of people. So with Fresh Fest, the first year at Fresh Fest was around the beer festival that celebrates diversity in beer, and we were chosen to brew commercially with Allegheny City Brewing, and we went in the back, we're brewing, and then a piece of equipment breaks, and we're like, no, we have to get this done today. So then we ended up having to go ahead and fill everything up, take it up to another brewery, up to Penn Brewery, and do all the milling and everything there, then bring it back down. But they were like, yeah, man, come on up, do this. It's just so crazy supportive.
Yeah. So my last two questions, and it'll be like maybe a call and answer. I can answer it too, so your viewers can hear. But so what are breweries in your? I kind of did mine a little bit. So what are some breweries in your area, or that you've even reached out to with the box, or got to try their stuff that like you think people should know about?
Ooh.
Like if I come to Pittsburgh, if I come up to your neck of the woods, what are your like? Now this is, and listen, people who are fans of him, he's not. If he excludes you, don't get mad at him. It was my question, but I'm coming to Pittsburgh. Let's say tomorrow, and COVID's not a thing right now. Where should I go?
Oh man, it's like choosing my best friend.
I know it's a hard question, but.
So how much time do you have? You have 1 day.
I got a weekend.
You got a weekend. All right,
I'm staying in the heart of Pittsburgh. I'm going to. I'll use a real situation. I'm going to see.
Driver.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Well, it's Pittsburgh. You could Uber anywhere.
That's true, but I mean, if money's not a thing either. But.
Yeah. So I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go see a show at Stage AE. So I'm pretty much in that area. Where should I go?
Oh man. Well, I would say you definitely have to go to. Man, this is tough. Number one, absolutely Allegheny City Brewing, which is on the north side of Pittsburgh. They're known for their they make such a wide variety of beers. They make really good IPAs. They make my favorite brown ale, the Deutschtown Brown. It's super tasty and delicious, and that's actually where my wife and I had our your reception to our wedding.
Nice.
They shut down the brewery on Sunday. We went in and we invited 75 people in and that type of stuff. So definitely have to give some love to them. And then secondly, I would say Abjuration Brewing. They're in the Keys Rocks. We mentioned them earlier. They're the ones that made that vanilla oak age Belgian. It's literally a grenade, like whenever you drink it. But they're known for experimental ales. So they traditionally never brew the same thing twice. They always alter something with the beer to make it a little bit different. After them, I would say Inner Groove Brewing for sure. They make some of the juiciest, tastiest hazy IPAs I've ever had, but they're not a one-trick pony. I just had yesterday their Sleepy Eyes, which is a blueberry tart ale, or it might be a sour. I don't know. It was delicious. It was like a milkshake. It was so good and tasty. Oh, golly. After those guys, obviously, got to show some love to Lincoln Avenue. They make one of my favorite black IPAs I've ever had. Really good stuff there at Lincoln Avenue. Plus, the food's amazing. Like, you can do one or the other or both. Oh God, there's just so many. Insurrection. The wife she just phoned this one in. Insurrection out of Carnegie, Pennsylvania. They have made some of the best saisons I've had in my entire life, second only to Oxbow up in Boston, the Boston area, or the New England area. I forget where. I guess I do drink a lot of beers.
Yeah.
I would say that's definitely a healthy start. Oh, damn. Well, you did say around Pittsburgh. Couch Brewery is a little bit on the outskirts, down on the east end of Pittsburgh, but they have like a 70s, 80s vibe.
I love
the brewery's
gimmicky
filled
stuff
with couches and a disco ball.
I love gimmick. Like I said, I'm a pro wrestling fan. I love gimmicks. You got a gimmick, I'm a fan.
And when we host First Sip Brewbox Bingo down at Couch Brewery, whenever you're one away, you have to woo like Ric Flair. Like, it's a rule. If you don't woo, you don't win.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's I would just do two quick ones. Like if you're in I'll just say like the Harrisburg area, Harrisburg Hershey area. Obviously Trogs. That's enough selling point to just come out there anyway. Is Trogs, and you can stay in Hershey. Trogs is there. In that also area. Rotunda is not too far away. You can do them. Tattered Flag in the Harrisburg area. But then like my Evergreen that's a must. That place is great. But my two sleepers are two kind of newer, smaller ones. Is Mellow Mink. They make awesome sours. You walk into it's in the middle of a strip mall. So you go past the strip mall and you're like, oh man, there's nothing in there. And it's literally right up the street from Evergreen. And you pull in the parking lot, you see Mellow Mink. You walk in the door and it's like you are in the ritziest, beautifulest, like it's just gorgeous in there. The owners are so cool, and they make fantastic. Like every beer you drink, you feel like you have to put a pinky up. Like we walked in, I walked in looking
fancy.
like a t-shirt, a hat, this disgusting beard, and I walked into this place and I was like, I should have wore nicer clothes. And they were so sweet. They make really good beer. But then another one that we did right before the COVID thing hit is Liquid Noise.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those guys.
Oh my! So hey, that's a thing too. You're talking about you go to breweries. So what we do is we walk in. We're like, hey, we'll buy a flight. You know what I mean? Because we always try to pay our way. And you know how breweries are. Like, no, you're not paying nothing. We got you. You know what I mean? So you're like, we'll do 3 or 4 beers, like a flight, and we'll review them. But then you get to the brewery, and they're like, no. If you're here, you're gonna try. You're doing flights. You're gonna try everything. So Liquid Noise was literally opened a couple months. It's a brand new building, brand new place. Once again, in a strip mall next to like a Dollar General. You would not expect anything from it. You walk in, and they're Liquid Noise for a reason, man. They're a rock star oriented brewery. So their gimmick, their name is craft like a rock star. You walk in, there's stage lights all in the ceiling. All the stage lights are hidden in their tanks, so the tanks with the chrome look like it's green and purple, and you know what I mean, and it's just like a rock star feel. And you walk in, giant TVs with the screens. They had 15 beers on tap, and they were only open a couple months.
Jeez,
crazy! And that
is insane.
And the beers were all fantastic. There was not one there where I was like, it was like, ugh, no stinkers. And I'm not a stout guy, and even the stout was tasty. Definitely, I would definitely tell people to do that one. And the thing they're trying to do now is right next door to it is another building they bought. So what they're going to do is actually buy that second building and turn it into a giant music venue. So, like, you can get to the brewery, and then maybe on a Friday night, they have, like, a band playing, like a full band where, like, 1,000 people can stand in there and enjoy music and have craft beer. Like, this place has...
That is unreal.
The potential to this place is unbelievable. Like, and it's out in a little rural, like, out kind of by itself, but not too much by itself, they have a huge parking lot. Like, this can be a venue/craft brewery place. I just... More people should know about them, and they're so nice. And lagers... They have this thing called the Landon's Lager. It's named after one of the brewery's owner's son. One of the best lagers I've ever had.
Damn.
I drank like 6 of them while I was there, and then the night I met them was at an event we did for the podcast. I met this guy. He's a photographer in the area, and he threw like a ball, and they were the beer. Like, he hired them to come in and bring their beer. I drank like 13 of their lagers that night. I was like, this is the greatest lager I've ever had. I couldn't stop. I was like, because it was like you buy your admission and you can just buy to drink, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Fill this, please. Like, it's so good. Like, their beers are fantastic. Just nice people. Really like gourmet bar food. Like, they take these pizzas and it's like you're getting like this gourmet pizza, and they're so delicious. But definitely check out Liquid Noise. Really cool people.
Oh man, yeah, we got to link all these guys down in the description.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna. I should have been writing this all down. Beers happen, right?
I'll just have you send me yours, and I'll send you mine.
Sounds perfect. And then my last question is, what is your favorite style of beer?
Ooh, I would say my favorite style of beer is a porter. Like, my wife and I, we both actually enjoy porters so much that we actually named our Beagle Porter.
Nice.
That's how much we love them. I think they're a happy medium. Now, we love stouts too, but I think it's more of you can drink porters, I personally feel, in more like various occasions than you can a stout. Porter's a little bit more versatile. I mean, even though they're very similar styles, they do have their distinct differences.
You could have more than one of them. You can enjoy yourself and have a bunch.
Right. They're not going to be super thick, super heavy. They're going to be just very aromatic, very tasty, but they're not going to be piled full of stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like tons of adjuncts and everything dumped inside of there. Just a nice traditional clean porter.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say, like, my biggest bugaboo is stouts. I have a hard time with stouts. I just don't like the taste of coffee. So when I get that heavy roast, it just tastes like coffee to me, and it just grosses me out. So I'm not a big stout guy. But anytime I see a lager or pilsner, I'm happy, because I think in a world full of stouts, IPAs, and sours, I think lagers get forgotten about. And I think, like, even on Untap, like, our show is very heavily used with Untap. So if you can, we're on Bangin Beers podcast, Anthony, if you want to follow us. That's just my account, but everyone has their own. I tag usually everybody on the show that's on that episode. But I feel like if you're not an IPA or a sour or a stout, and you make something out of that realm, I feel like you don't get the scores you deserve.
Right.
Or if it's like, if you're an IPA that's not over 7, you don't get the score you deserve. I think, like, I don't know. It's just it's tricky, but yeah. If I see a canned lager somewhere, I'm gonna go with that before anything else. That's like my go-to.
Right. You would have loved this Vienna lager.
Yeah.
This is.
It looks gorgeous.
Now, obviously, this was a growler, so I don't know if you could see, but it's.
You're putting a dent in it.
It's pretty much halfway gone.
Yeah.
For the most part, it was just super crushable. I definitely agree with what you're saying with Untapped. I saw a meme the other day that hit perfectly. It was like someone was at a restaurant, rating a restaurant. Yeah, salad was okay. I don't really like salad, so I'm going to give it a 2.
Yeah.
It's like, just why? Just don't get the salad.
See, if I drink a stout, I'll check it in, but I won't score it, because I know going into that I'm not a stout fan, so I'm not going to give it a low score, because I know I don't like stouts. But I'll check it in to say I did it. But now if you give me an IPA and everything about that IPA I should like, and I don't, I'm gonna give you an honest score. Like, and I know that could probably, like, one of the the feedback I kind of got in an interview recently, and you can do the math, is they got away from doing reviews because people sometimes get offended, but we try to be honest, you know what I mean? Like, there's one episode we are really, really hard on a brewery. I'll say it. We were really tough on Omnipolo. And for 2 reasons. 1, too expensive. And 2, for the price point. Also, they don't put dates on their cans. So if you buy a can,
I didn't know that was a thing.
On the bottom, and a lot of places don't do it. So if I walk into a distributor and I'm paying $7 a can for one of your beers because it says your name on it. I'm not saying this can, I'm just saying in general.
Right.
and I pay all this money, but I don't know how long that can has been there. Now, not all distributors are gonna put their freshest stuff out first, and sometimes if they're sitting on it, they still want to make money. So we went out, like the guy on our show, Ben, he spent when he brought to that table that night and we had it, I was uncomfortable that we were drinking that much money he spent. He spent a lot of money on these Omnipolo, and he wanted to get a bunch of Omnipolo collaborations. Like we wanted to do this big, it was a big deal to him. He was very proud of this episode, and we started drinking it, and it was not that good. I don't know if they were old. I didn't know if they were bad, but once again, we don't know because we don't know the date on the can.
Right.
And the money he paid for them because of the name did not justify the flavor. They weren't
right.
Like,
he probably felt terrible too.
He was really, really upset because he was proud of it, and we were honest. We're like, this beer is not that good for you to be charging this much. You know what I mean? And we kind of tore him up a little bit. Now we also had an experience too where someone donated a beer to the show, and it kind of maybe sat in the fridge for a month or two, and they were like, let's bust it out and put it in this episode. We took a picture of it and put it, I think it was Oliver Brewing Company. We put a picture of it online. I don't even think I tagged them in it. I don't know how they seen it. I don't know anything. Well, I got a message from and this is after we recorded. Like, I re-recorded, I was setting everything up, and I get a message. And they were like, where did you get that can? And I was like, oh, it was donated. I'm not really sure. We just put it on the lineup. Now, it didn't go over very well in the episode. It had a bad taste to it. It wasn't that great. They're like, if you bought it from a distributor, please tell us where you got this beer, because that beer is over a year old.
Oh, damn.
And for them to reach out and be like quality control on their end, all the love in the world to Oliver Brewing Company.
Absolutely.
So even before the episode went out, we're like, hey, we reviewed Oliver and we gave it kind of a bad score, but that doesn't reflect it because we didn't know we had an older beer.
Right.
Now, there is times we'll have a sour or a stout and we age it for a year. Because we like to experiment too. Sometimes we like to sit on beers longer, but we'll put that in our review. Like, this beer is not fresh. You know what I mean? And sometimes you sit on a beer longer, it tastes fantastic. Like,
right.
So
you see a lot with stouts. I've never aged a sour unless it was a barley wines, saisons. Yeah. I've never aged a sour before.
Yeah, Ben's like a scientist. He likes to try stuff like that, and we're just idiots and we'll drink it.
You guys have your own R&D department. That's
cool. So like that was one of the only episodes we were kind of rough on people, but yeah, like that's the thing. But we have a guy on our show who's into the hazy IPAs. That's all he really likes. That's like his
he's
favorite.
A haze boy.
Yeah, so we put a meme in our group chat where it's a guy and he's biting his metal. You ever see the one with the guy like at the podium? He's biting his metal and he's spraying the champagne in his own face.
Yep.
And it says lagers, any other style of beer, and then third place, and it's the guy celebrating. It says hazy IPA.
Oh, I've seen that one. That one is pretty good.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
But yeah,
man,
it's crazy too. Like this is the last thing I kind of want to say. And if you have anything else, we keep going. But I don't want to take up everything. I feel like I'm overstaying my welcome. But
no, man, this is good. This is fun.
Yeah,
content's king.
But one of the things too is for how close the beer community is with one another. One of the things I would like to see a change of is the people in the beer community, the people who support and buy and talk about beer, and you're in all these beer groups. Don't be so rough and so hard and so critical. Like, it takes a lot to make a beer. It takes a lot to get distributing. It takes a lot, and you have to realize, especially in Pennsylvania, they're fighting an uphill battle with legislation and everything 100%. Like that. So if the new hot trend is, let's just say for an example, I'm using it like is New Trail. If people are into New Trail now, let them be into New Trail. Just because something gets popular doesn't mean it has to be shit on. You know what I mean? Like,
right. That's too mainstream.
Yeah, who cares? Enjoy the beer. If they make good beer, enjoy it. And if they don't, that's all they make. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just wish the people who support the beer were just as friendly and welcoming as the people who make it.
100%.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest takeaway. As I wish more people who were like they're leading by example, but the people aren't following. You know.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But that's kind of tough. Like, I don't think people would ever change because humanity's not known for change.
Oh, humans suck sometimes. We just, as human beings, we're not good creatures. We're just awful.
I think part of it is too, just too many people have never experienced entrepreneurship. They've never went out and tried to do their own thing. So they, don't typically appreciate everything that goes into making that thing you enjoy or you don't enjoy. I mean, it's fine having an opinion. I think how we started off everything, if we can come together and actually have a conversation about it, not just bashing someone for, no reason. And tying a little bit back into Untapped, like if you can look at things objectively for the style, if it's like true to the style, then I get that. But a lot of people, they don't have the self-awareness to make that determination. They just, this tastes terrible, I hate it.
Yeah,
this has to suck.
What are some future plans for First Sip Box that you like? I'm always about speaking something into existence. So you have like a goal, like a bucket list goal, or something you want to do in the near future.
Yeah. So our goal, as COVID, hopefully keeps heading behind us, is to continue to scale and grow our team. We want to bring on some actual, full-time employees, focusing on B2B for us. So our business-to-business segment of our company where we do corporate gifting. So, for example, we work with a real estate company where every house he sells, he gets a brew box sent to that house thanking that client for using his service, his platform as a realtor. So continuing to grow that piece of our company. Continue to bring on more brewery partners, grow our YouTube channel, because as we were doing tons of research, we had a competitive analysis done. We are now the only, well, I can't say only, because one company might still be around, but they haven't posted on social media in like 70 days. So traditionally that means that, they're
like beer merch type, like a beer merch box.
Yeah.
The only one I ever heard
going away
was it was on Howard Stern, and it wasn't so much beer, it was more bar related. It was the dive bar box. That's the only thing I've ever heard that was similar to what you're doing. I mean, there are people who ship beer, but what you're doing with t-shirts and swag, right. I've never heard. I think it's a great idea. And I'm happy you're from PA, so it's easier to support for me.
Yeah. I mean, there was only 2 other companies that we were, monitoring, and not monitoring like the CIA, kind of just watching them. But, I want to see what good stuff they're putting out that may spur different innovative ideas that we have. Like, you have to know what's out there.
Yeah.
One of those 2 companies just went out of business. No one ever likes to see that. But it's just how, the market works. The other company, it's funny because the owners of that company went out of their way and blocked my wife and I from looking at their Instagram. We never said anything bad. We actually liked some of their stuff. Like, we enjoyed what they were doing, but I guess they somehow found out who we were personally and blocked us from looking at any of their social media stuff. And that happens to be the same company that hasn't posted for 60 or 70 days. So when you're playing that type of defense, that typically means, something's going on internally. So with that said, we are now the only company that we know of that even remotely does, what we do, tying in the breweries and everything like that. So that puts us in a great position to kind of rise like a phoenix out of the ashes after, COVID and everything. So we're looking to just really scale up, fill some of those gaps out there, and get my wife to stop working her full-time job so she can join me working full-time on the company, because now she's doing both and coaching basketball. So
I used to coach soccer, man. That's a tough. Yeah. And I didn't even have kids. I just did it because I liked coaching. It's not easy. Not easy.
No. I mean, she loves it. That's kind of like her downtime, so she doesn't have to be around me. That's why she loves it when I do these shows, so I don't talk to her as much afterwards because I tucker myself out.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Well, this has been a great time, Tony. Like, I'm really happy you shot us a little, I don't even know, what do you call it? Just a DM on Twitter?
I got up in those DMs, boy.
I don't know. He's just slid in those DMs.
No, man, I'm all about collaboration, and I'm not the biggest yet. I mean, but I feel like the hard work will pay off. But I really, really like hearing other people's stories and having just that communication. So I appreciate you answering back and willing to collaborate with us. And hopefully...
We set this up in like 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it was quick.
Yeah, man. I appreciate your time, man. And I wish you nothing but the best. And if anytime you ever want to have a conversation or want to come on our end and hang out, or once this is over, you're in my neck of the woods or I'm in your neck of the woods, we'll reach out and hang out.
Hell yeah, man. So for all the folks out there, can you give one last shout out to where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find us on all social media for the most part, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I think that's about it. Yeah, but you can find us there on social media at Bangin Beers Podcast. All podcast apps, you can search IWEP Network. But if you're on Spotify, iTunes stuff, you can just type our YouTube. You can type in Bangin Beers. Our episodes will pop up, and you can follow us that way. Support. Let us know. Listen to an episode. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think we can work on. Feedback is always welcome, unless you're just being rude. But
in which case, unplug your Ethernet cable and go to bed.
Yeah. Make a podcast and then sometime, yeah. Anyway, but no, man. I appreciate anyone who's willing to sit and listen to someone talk for over an hour. That's right. Podcasts aren't for everybody, so the people they are for, I appreciate that. People who take time, I personally love them. I'm always been a talk radio guy, but that's where you can find us. Shoot us a message, and we're always down for a conversation. If you have a brewery in your area or you have a beer you want us to try, and you're wondering what our take is, we're always down to go find it and try it out.
Absolutely. And, with that said, thank you guys for, sticking with us this whole time. I know that you enjoyed it, but in case you didn't, just drink more beer. You'll get through it. Yeah. Everything will be okay. You can find out more about us at firsthitbrewbox.com. And as well as our social media handles are all at First Hit Brewbox. You got the Facebook, the Instagrams, Twitters, YouTubes, LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest. And I think that's pretty much all of them. And if you guys found value in this, you enjoyed this, please right down below, hit the like button and subscribe and hit the little bell so you get all the wonderful notifications. But most importantly, more important than all that, more important than anything we said today, what are you drinking? Toss down below whatever you're drinking and what brewery is, what's in right now for you guys.
And look real quick, he's using the bombs from the beard, and look how amazing his beard looks, and I am not, and look how terrible mine looks. So that's enough right there to get Brewbox. Don't look like me, look like him.
That's actually a good segue into another episode we did with Crafty Suds. Jump on there. This Cuban cigar beard balm is delicious. I mean, not delicious. Don't eat it. It's delicious to my nose.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that smells so good.
Yeah, there you go. That's another reason we got to get his box. You won't look like a schlub like me. You'll be dapper and looking amazing.
Oh man, I take all the compliments I can get. So thank you so much, Tony, for that.
Yeah.
And for coming on this episode of the Daily Sip. Thanks, Tony. Cheers.
Later, brother.